What's going on, everybody? It's your life and wellness coach, Charles Johnson from Beyond Wellness Podcast. Tonight, we're going to go part 2, why discipline feels hard before it feels free. Hey, welcome back to the Beyond Wellness Podcast, where self-improvement meets reality. January gets called out respectfully, of course. Okay, let's recap part 1. We talked about capacity before change because you can't build new habits on an exhausted brain. You can't out-discipline burnout. And no, a fresh planner and some new gym shoes and motivational quotes on Instagram do not magically increase capacity. I'm just saying. And this is why January knocks so many people flat on their behinds. Now, in part 2, we're going to get into why discipline feels hard before it feels free. Because discipline asks your brain to delay comfort, and your brain hates that. Your brain wants the couch, some snacks, and I'll start it Monday. Discipline wants structure, repetition, and consistency. And at first, that feels less like freedom and more like house arrest. So let's get into it. Let's go. Yeah. Woo! Let's go. I know. Your nervous system's freaking out right now. We're going to incorporate discipline. This is part 2 of my 4-part series. So have a seat, listen up, and I know you'll get something out of this. Man, I'm getting a little warm. Hold on a second. I'm going to try to get a little bit more comfortable. Hold that thought real quick. All right. There we go. I'm back. So if discipline has ever felt heavy, if structure has felt annoying, if January gym already ghosts you at the gym, relax. You're not broken. Your brain is just doing its job. Real discipline isn't punishment. It's the bridge between chaos and calm. And once it sticks, freedom finally shows up. All right, so here we go. Part 2, why discipline feels so hard before it feels free. Let's talk about discipline because discipline is one of the most misunderstood words in personal growth. When most people hear the word discipline, they don't think of freedom. They think of restrictions, they think of rules, they think of punishment. They think of somebody telling them they're not doing enough. So before we go any further, let me clear something up. Discipline is not about taking the joy out of your life. It's not about grinding yourself into the ground, and it's not about becoming some rigid, joyless version of yourself. Discipline feels hard at first for one primary reason. It introduces friction. And friction isn't failure. Friction is feedback. Anytime you try to change a pattern that's familiar, especially the one that has been giving you some kind of relief, your system pushes back. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because your brain prefers what it knows, something most people never get taught. The brain is wired for relief, not resolution. Your brain's number one job is not long-term fulfillment. It's short-term safety and comfort. Relief feels good right now. Resolution takes time. Relief quiets discomfort in the moment. Resolution actually fixes the problem underneath it. And that difference explains so much of human behavior. It explains why we scroll when we're stressed, why we avoid difficult conversations, why we overeat, overdrink, overwork, or just numb out. So why do we keep returning to the habits we already know don't really help? Because they almost work. That, my friend, is what makes them dangerous. Scrolling almost works. Avoidance almost works. Overeating almost works. Numbing almost works. You get where I'm going, right? They don't solve the problem, but they do take the edge off. And when something takes the edge off, your brain labels it as useful. So when you try to remove a bad habit, here's what really happens. You're not just removing a behavior, you're removing a coping strategy, a maladaptive coping strategy. Even if that coping strategy is unhealthy, even if it's destructive, even if it's keeping you stuck, your nervous system doesn't care about that part. All it knows is this thing helped me feel better before, so I'm going to do it again. So when that habit is gone, your system panics just a little bit. And that panic shows up as thoughts like, this isn't working. I deserve a break. Just this once won't hurt. Hey, I'll start again tomorrow. That voice is not your enemy. That voice is your nervous system asking for relief. Most people think discipline means silencing that voice. It doesn't. Discipline means choosing resolution anyway. That's why discipline feels uncomfortable at first. You're asking your system to tolerate discomfort without immediately fixing it. You're delaying relief in exchange for long term freedom. Your brain doesn't like that trade off in the beginning. So let me say this clearly. If discipline feels restrictive at first, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing something new. You get what I'm saying? Listen, discipline doesn't trap you. Discipline trains you. It trains your nervous system to tolerate discomfort. It trains your mind to pause instead of react. It trains your body to stay instead of trying to escape. And this, my friend, is where people get confused about freedom. They think freedom means no structure. But look around. The people with no structure aren't free. They're typically overwhelmed, they're reactive, they're anxious, they're exhausted. Structure is not the opposite of freedom. Structure is what protects your freedom. Yeah, yours. Discipline creates containers where your energy doesn't leak everywhere. And sometimes discipline looks far less dramatic than people expect. Sometimes discipline is just not adding something new. Sometimes discipline is stopping something old. And this is where the metaphor comes back. When you find yourself in a hole, what is the first thing you need to do? Well, I can tell you this. The first step is not climbing. It's stop digging. Did you hear me? Stop digging. No, a lot of people want discipline to look heroic. Big changes, big commitment, big declarations. You need to settle down. But real discipline often looks boring. It looks like not checking your phone when you're anxious, going to bed when you rather stay up, eating enough protein instead of skipping meals, or having that hard conversation instead of avoiding it. It looks like putting the shovel down. All right, listen. In that moment, when you stop doing the thing that keeps the problem alive, it often is the hardest part because now you've exposed to the discomfort you were avoiding. And this is where faith, psychology, and growth all start to intersect. Have you ever heard the quote that says, when you pray, don't pray for a lighter load, but pray for a stronger back? That prayer assumes growth instead of escape. It assumes you're capable of becoming stronger, not that life needs to be easier. Discipline is how you build that strength. Not all at once, not dramatically, but through repetition. Repetition is how your nervous system learns safety. Every time you choose resolution over relief, you send yourself a message. I can handle this. And that message starts to compound. Okay, let me slow down for a moment. Discipline is not about white-knuckling your way through life. It's about training your tolerance for discomfort so discomfort stops running your decisions. Because when discomfort runs your decisions, you don't choose based on your values. You choose based on relief. And relief-based living always leads you back to the same place. And that's why discipline feels hard before it feels free. At first, it feels like restriction. Later, it feels like clarity. Wow, this is so much clearer now. I get it. That's what you should be saying. I know. At first, it feels like effort. Later, it feels like alignment. At first, it feels like you're saying no to yourself. Later, you realize you're finally saying yes to the version of you that doesn't need to escape. You learn how to fight back. You learn how to carry that load. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, that sounds good, but I've tried discipline before and I always fall off. Listen, let me reframe this for you. You didn't fail on discipline. You probably tried to stack too much discipline on too little capacity. You weren't strong enough to carry it yet. Remember part 1? Remember that? Capacity comes first. Discipline without capacity feels like punishment. Discipline with capacity feels like training. And training, it takes some time. So if discipline feels hard right now, hear this clearly. That does not mean you're failing. I keep saying the same thing. It means your system is learning. Friction is not a sign to quit. Friction is information. It's telling you where growth is happening. It's telling you which habits matter. And it's telling you which patterns are losing their grip. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding friction. Freedom comes from moving through it. Okay, if discipline feels hard, you're probably doing it right. You're not being punished. You're being trained. Relief will always be available, but resolution is what sets you free. put the shovel down, choose resolution, and we'll build the rest from here. Man, I just love giving out these life lessons. And you're welcome. I'll see you on the next video, part 3.